The only difference between savage and sophisticated is the proper seasoning.
In the post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland of the Fallout series, food tends to be hard to come by. Not everyone has a stash of caps or a herd of Brahmin to fall back on. Some people have to eat whatever they can find, even if it's each other. Some eat it by necessity, while others by choice. Either way, here are a few of the most disturbing cannibals in the Fallout series.
But anyway, welcome to Andale, the best little town in Virginia.
Andale is a lovely little town where food is plentiful and everybody's happy. They call it the greatest town in Virginia, and its residents proudly talk about voting Republican.
Yes, sir, it's every American's civic duty to cast his vote for his favorite Republican candidate, am I right?
But of course, when things seem to be too good to be true, they are way worse than you think. Your first clue is Old Man Harris, this crazy old man who claims things are not as they seem.
What are you doing in this town? Get out! Get out while you can!
It turns out that the old man is a patriarch of the Smith family and the Wilson family, the two surviving families of Andale, and their plentiful food supply is just the chopped up remains of various unfortunate travellers. When they talk about their family business, that's the business that they're referring to.
Dad says that when I'm older, I'll come to work with him, and we're in the family business.
So the Smiths and the Wilsons of Andale are not only remorseless cannibals, but they're also incredibly inbred, and they're quite happy to keep it that way.
It's weird. That means Mr. Wilson is my uncle, and Ginny is... something. I don't know, it seems weird to marry her.
Welcome to the Ultralux. I do hope it exceeds your every expectation.
The White Glove Society is one of 3 families responsible for running the New Vegas Strip, and they operate a high-class establishment called the Ultralux. Marjorie and Mortimer are the leaders of the society, but they disagree about the direction they ought to take.
It's all image with her anyway. She just needs to realize the only difference between savage and sophisticated is the proper seasoning.
You see, the Ultralux is an exclusive club with a strict dress code and an aspiring chef by the name of Philippe, who literally claims to have invented edible food.
Who the fuck do you think I am? I'm the fucking god of New Vegas Brahmin fusion cuisine, that's who.
Thanks to Philippe, the Ultralux is also famous for its special kind of steak, only available to the highest ranking members of the White Glove Society. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is.
I'll only be telling everyone what they've eaten after they've eaten it. That way, they will all have crossed the same silly taboo. They'll have to reconsider it, even Marjorie.
The White Glove Society used to be barbaric and cannibalistic until recent attempts to clean up their image as an ultra-high society. But Mortimer and Philippe believe that high society means getting to eat exotic meals that others can't. So that still goes on in the shadows, unbeknownst to the rest of the society's members.
Why, it's splendid. Simply to die for.
Technically, the swamp folk are human, but you can barely tell anymore. A combination of severe inbreeding, radiation, and exposure to toxic waste in Point Lookout have turned them into some kind of cross between a hillbilly and a super mutant. Considering the bone totems, voodoo doll decor, and their half-witted hostility towards strangers, the cannibalism almost takes a back seat to their other features and is never mentioned directly. Still, there is no doubt that they eat human flesh. They frequently carry human flesh on their bodies, and occasionally in combat you'll hear them say,
"We eat good tonight."
Gallo doesn't eat human flesh, but he is absolutely a cannibal. Gallo is a Gould with a neatly decorated room deep within the county sewer mainline. You'll know it by the 2 party hat wearing garden gnomes outside the door. Inside, you'll see a decent sized Nuka-Cola collection and a Gould wearing a party hat who will attack you on sight. That Gould is Gallo, and while he never says much to you, it's clear what he's up to. He has some feral ghouls in his open refrigerator and some mystery meat steaks on his plates. It's not hard to figure out that he's been eating his own kind.
You here for my dogs? Can't have my dogs? Here for meat? You can't have my meat! Meat's for dogs!
Violet is a tribalist and a dog breeder who is obsessed with meat. She is one of the 4 Fiend leaders in Fallout New Vegas and is a bit manic. She makes it clear that she feeds her dogs meat, and she doesn't really care what kind of meat. Human flesh makes up a fair amount of her dog's diet, and it sounds like she partakes as well. And in addition to humans, it sounds like she'll eat dogs, cats, and rats just the same.
Good meat, huh? Cat meat, rat meat, dog meat, maybe even you meat.
The Jackals are a faction in the Mojave Wasteland that makes up one of 3 roving gangs of raiders, along with the Vipers and the Khans. Of course, the Jackals aren't what they used to be, as the expansion of the New California Republic has pushed them to the outskirts of the territory. Now that the Jackals are lacking in power and territory, they also lack resources, which eventually leads them to cannibalism, simply as a survival mechanism. But now, they sort of embrace it. The Jackals go for an even more savage look than most raiders, filing their teeth to sharp points and fighting everybody they find, even amongst themselves, for the spoils of a successful raid. Vault 22 was all about botany. They brought in 3 different species to study: a mantis, a Venus flytrap style plant, and a fungus meant to kill off common pests. However, nobody at Vault-Tec decided to check to see if the fungus was toxic to humans or not. Surprise, it was, and it overtook the entire vault. Humans were either killed by the fungus or infected and turned into spore carriers. Eventually, the surviving vault dwellers escaped into the Zion Canyon, where they slowly succumbed to the effects of their infection, which included a nasty cough and cannibalistic tendencies. 11 months after leaving the vault, only 34 Vault 22 survivors were recorded as moving out of Zion Canyon, and what happened to them after that, nobody knows. Iguana on a stick is one of the most recognisable snacks in the wastes, but the first time it showed up was also one of the most dubious. See, the thing about iguana on a stick is that it's not a whole iguana, it's just bits. So Morbid, the otherwise capable doctor of Junktown, has a little side racket. Along with his assistant Gretch, he prepares dead bodies and sells them to Iguana Bob for the production of iguana on a stick. Of course, the worst part about this is that Morbid and Gretch don't actually appear to be the cannibals themselves, they're just facilitating the cannibalism. But here's the problem, it's almost impossible to tell who has engaged in cannibalism or not. The majority of people who have eaten human flesh probably do so unwittingly, thanks to the people in the meat trade throwing ethics out the window. Now that we've ruined your next hamburger, that's all we have for now. Is there anyone we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, enjoy the game.